Oli here, and this is my review of The Deadly Assassin, the third story of the 14th season of classic Doctor Who, starring Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor. The Deadly Assassin is the 80th story overall. Its four-part song is written by Robert Holmes. So the plot of The Deadly Assassin is as follows. Gallifrey, planet of the Time Lord, the Doctor has finally come home, but not by choice. Summoned by a vision from the Matrix, he is drawn into a web of political intrigue and assassination. Nothing is quite what it seems, and in the shadows lurks his oldest and deadliest enemy. Bear with me, I do have a bit of hay fever, so if I do start sniffing and stuff, I apologize. I apologize in advance. So, The Deadly Assassin. What an incredible story! I love it very much. The Deadly Assassin is surprisingly very divisive in the Doctor Who fandom. A lot of people, such as a good subscriber of mine, Jack the Film Fanatic, loves this story. I think he actually named this to be his favorite story ever, and a lot of people don't like this story because of because of the discontinuity issues that came across with the plot devices that were brought up, such as Time Lords having 13 regenerations, as it was pretty much implied in the past that Time Lords can pretty much live forever because barring any accidents. So I think fans didn't really like that aspect. So obviously, judging by my clapping, I actually do think that it is one of the greatest stories ever. But I do think this story was a tad bit violent, to say the least. But I must commend the production of the story. It was very great, and I love the sets of Gallifrey and the world building that went behind it. And this is actually the first time we see Gallifrey in full, instead of just having Gallifrey appear in like some parts or just one major part in back in the war games, or just other parts where a few times will be appearing here, and it was quite cool to see that. And the score of the story is amazing, and I loved how I think it was towards the beginning when whenever a few Time Lords would appear, so organs were playing, pretty much reminded me of when the Time Lords first appeared in the war games, or when they first had their powerful influence and they pretty much had to stop time, and the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe were pretty much running in slow-mo. I like the location from where the quarry. I like the location from of the quarry, which was used to represent the Matrix. So the Doctor was pretty much trying to confront the Master, and the Master just throwing all these tricks here and there, and it was pretty cool as well. The script was outstanding, and the direction by David Maloney was brilliant. And in regards to that, one of the best stories he's ever directed for Doctor Who. It was really good. I like the political thriller aspects to it. It actually reminded me of John F. Kennedy and his assassination, and the tension was brilliantly done. This story was actually very ambitious because we pretty much had the Doctor with no companion whatsoever. So, because the producers thought that the companion was a bit unnecessary, so they pretty much had this story to like try and pitch to producers to have Doctor Who go on without a companion, and the producers thought it failed. But even though it did actually work in a way, but I think it was better as a one-off instead of just having it as a full-on basis, and it actually worked. Even Tom Baker said himself that the Doctor didn't really need a companion, and the BBC didn't really like that idea, and they thought that this story was a failure because there was no companion, and they pretty much had to introduce her companion in the next story, the Face of Evil. So Gallifrey gets some world building, as I mentioned before, and I actually like that, and we get to see more of the Time Lords, and they're pretty much demystified, and I think that's another part where fans don't really like, because they don't really. I think they like the Time Lords shrouded in mystery, and having them like the mystery aspects of them just broken down. I don't think they really like that. And we find out that the Time Lords, the answer is godlike and powerful as they were made out to be. Instead, they're merely pompous old idiots that are mainly concerned about saving their skin. And I actually like that aspect, and it pretty much gives us a reason why the Doctor decided to leave Gallifrey. He doesn't actually explicitly say it, but I think we have an idea, and we don't really blame the Doctor for deciding to run away and leave Gallifrey. And the story also introduces the 13 regeneration rule limit for Time Lords, including the Doctor himself. It states that when a Time Lord reaches their last regeneration and they die, it's pretty much permanent, and the Master is said to be on his last regeneration and was looking to prolong his life and get more regeneration cycles. And this plot point actually made fans irate back in the day. As I mentioned before, I think they like the idea of Time Lords having unlimited regenerations, and pretty much they can live forever. And we also introduced the Matrix for the first time ever, and that actually plays a part in future Doctor Who stories like Trial of a Time Lord and Time of the Timeless Children in the new series. So, but the Deadly Assassin itself was greatly done. The pacing was immaculate, a lot better than Hand of Fear. I must say. And there wasn't any parts where I actually felt any boredom or just wanted the story to just end. Right, I really liked the story, so I would say it's actually one of my favorites of the Tom Baker era. The Deadly Assassin has a lot of iconic moments, such as the famous scene where Chancellor Goth tries to drown the Doctor in the Matrix. I like that scene, but at the same time, I do think it was a bit over the top, and that actually set Mary Whitehouse off the world. So the BBC pretty much had to sack Philip Hinchcliffe at the end of season 14 and replace him with Graham Williams, who was brought in to try and make Doctor Who lighter and more lighthearted, so they can pretty much get rid of Mary Whitehouse. And the scenes in the Matrix were very well done, but it was mainly a mind game set by the Master, and the Master pretty much sent a samurai to deal with the Doctor, which was quite strange, but was very cool at the same time. And also like the bit where the plane was chasing the Doctor, it was very, they gave off North by Northwest vibes, and I pretty much like that. I also like the struggle between the Doctor and the Master in the Eye of Harmony place under the, I forgot it. It was a funny name, but I think that's where the Eye of Harmony was in part 4. And I also like the other scene when the Doctor under the Master's influence or something like that. That he pretty much shoots the president in part 1 cliffhanger, meaning that the Doctor is pretty much the culprit of the person he actually saw shoot the president. I think Tom Baker did an amazing job in this story, and I think that The Deadly Assassin is his best performance in the season, and one of his best performances is the Fourth Doctor. The Doctor actually provides an opening narration in the beginning of the story, and I really like that aspect of it. It definitely introduces and how the Time Lords, how they ruled and stuff like that, and there's the danger of something. That was pretty cool. And obviously, now that the Doctor is without a companion, you definitely see how the Doctor copes on his own. Now that he's more vulnerable, especially in the Matrix, and without any companion in his side, which pretty much made him less chatty and more serious and less humorous, and he's definitely more aloof in this story. The Doctor himself gets some major character development in this story. Now knowing that the Time Lords aren't exactly the great powerful beings that he believed them to be, it pretty much gives him some justification to why he left Gallifrey and why he renounced the Time Lords. Especially as they wanted to twist the events of what actually happened between the Master, the President's assassination, and pretty much making President Goth, who was actually the Master's lackey, a hero, and the Doctor just pretty much left out of the event, and the Doctor didn't really like that. Even when Barusa actually suggested the Doctor should leave Gallifrey immediately, the Doctor did not hesitate one bit, and he actually wanted out of Gallifrey. And to be honest, I don't really blame the Doctor. It's pretty much like a scene where it reminds me of the scene where you find out that your parents aren't exactly who they are. They pretty much been lying to you your whole life, and you pretty much want nothing to do with them. But I also like the bit when the Doctor was actually how he's going to be executed. He pretty much saved himself by invoking something called Article 17, which allows someone to claim the post for presidency shortly afterwards. So onto the side cast, they were all very good. We had Spandrel. He was the Castellan, the Chancery God in Gallifrey. He was skeptical of the Doctor when he was accused of assassinating the president, but he later saw that the Doctor was innocent and pretty much became the Doctor's ally and even aided him while the Doctor was in the Matrix. I really liked his character, and I really loved how valuable of an ally he was towards the Doctor. Engin, I don't know, he was the coordinator of the Matrix and another main ally to help the Doctor as well. He was a good character, and I actually do wish he did a little bit more, to say the least. Cardinal Barusa, this is actually his first appearance, and he's actually a key Time Lord figure, so I won't get into full details of him, but I think he was there. I think he was there to accuse the Doctor, but then realized that the Doctor was actually innocent and pretty much wanted to twist the versions of events by making President Goth the hero. And I actually liked his character, but even though he didn't really do a bit more after that, but he didn't really need to do anything really. Ron Sober, he was a presenter for the Public Register video. He was pretty much the newsman there, and he was a good character. And he met his end when the Master stabbed him in the back with some arrow and stuff like that. I really like the scene when Ron Sober went up to the telescope place where the president was, and he saw his camera assistant shrunken camera assistant inside, and that was a pretty scary scene to say the least. And finally, we had Commander Hildred. He was a member of the Chancery Guard, and he accidentally let the Doctor escape when the TARDIS arrived in the capital. Hildred was later assigned by Spandrel to try and figure out to try and defigure the Master's appearance. And by later turned out the Master had faked his death and killed him via the TCE. So those are the main side characters of the Deadly Assassin. They're all quite good, to say the least. The enemies of the story had the Master, who's not been seen since season 10's Frontier in Space, and he's portrayed by a new actor named Peter Pratt because Roger Delgado had died in a car accident a few years during the production of season 10. So the Master was responsible for summoning the Doctor back to Gallifrey by using the Matrix to make him think that the Doctor needed to save the President, but the Doctor would end up on trial for the President's murder. The Master wanted more power because he was dying and he was in his last incarnation, and after that he pretty much would die. So he had Chancellor Goth working for him, and the Master needed the Eye of Harmony towards the end so he can heal himself and destroy Gallifrey. It was nice seeing the Master back, even though the Master was pretty much burnt into a crisp, and I actually thought that was quite scary, and I liked that. Peter Pratt was a good Master, but obviously I don't think he was good as Roger Delgado was, to be honest. And the other villain was Chancellor Goth. He was considered to be the replacement of the president that was assassinated, and quickly wanted the Doctor killed so he can actually become the president. We wanted to assume he was actually doing this for justice, but he was actually working for the Master so he can actually gain presidency. So the Master actually put him in the Matrix to try and make sure the Doctor died. But I mean, the part 4, Goth pretty much died because of the brain, and pretty much died because of the Matrix effect. So he was later revealed why Goth was working for the Master, and he actually wanted the previous president dead. He was a good tragic villain, and I liked him. He was played by Bernard Horsfall, who was appeared in Doctor Who before, especially as one of the Time Lords that sent the second Doctor to exile in the War Games, and the expanded media actually claimed that Goth was the same Time Lord that was in the War Games. So they don't actually mention it here, but I think they're trying to pass it off as if he wasn't the same thing, wasn't the same person, but I think TARDIS Wiki pretty much says that it was the same person. So, on to the faults of this story. Pardon me. Not as many as A Hand of Fear, but I do think Robert Holmes and Philip Hinchcliffe were pretty much pushing the envelope a little bit too far when they tried to have Goth kill the Doctor at the end of part 3. It did end up costing Hinchcliffe his job, and it was, as I mentioned before, it was a bit over the top. But if he played it, a teensy bit safe by having the cliffhanger for Goth to be revealed to be working for the Master, and that would have been a slightly better cliffhanger, and that would probably would have saved Hinchcliffe's job, and he probably would have turned to season 15, and in part 4, the Doctor and Goth would pretty much been fighting in the water without any drowning incidences. So to conclude, pardon me, the Deadly Assassin made success of a very bold move to try and have the Doctor on his own, even though nothing came from it, unfortunately. But thanks to the plot points that were introduced, such as the Time Lords not being who they say they were, and Time Lords having 13 lives, and the world building of Gallifrey, definitely contributed to the Deadly Assassin being one of the greatest Doctor Who stories ever made. So I give The Deadly Assassin a perfect 10 out of 10. So my next review will be The Face of Evil, which sees the debut of the new companion Leela of the Sever team. So thanks for watching this review. Please let me know what you thought of The Deadly Assassin and this review itself. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and if you want to join my Discord server, my link is in the description below. So until then, see you later.